Okay, so here I am looking at my budget program that I built. Let me kind of walk you through it. So these are your categories. I only have 10 of them, but they're dynamic, so you're not stuck with these categories. Say you want to change just the insurance or whatever, or change hobby project to whatever you want. You can change those. Now, after you change them, you have to click this recalculate button. That will recalculate these and update them in the code, and it will also save this program. So every time you hit recalculate, at the end of it, it will save this program. This is your allocations. These are how much you allot to whatever. Say your mortgage is awesome and it's $1,000. Say your utilities are through the roof, so $600 because you have a hot tub in the winter. Anyway, so these you update these, but keep in mind this number right here is the sum of all these. If this exceeds your income month to month, you're in trouble. Because we're tracking savings. We track savings as an expense. What this does is it makes it so this matches with our income, and this savings amount fills in the rest. You can also use this other whatever. And this spent category is tracked when you hit recalculate. And this just compares so you know how much money you got left per category. Because sometimes you have lots of fuel lots of fuel left at the end of the month, but you don't have enough utilities. So you can shuffle as needed to make your month work. But you always have to track what's being spent. There's a pie chart that shows up here. You'll see it in here in a bit. Basically, I'm going to hit recalculate, whatever. Okay, now we're going to begin the monthly. So at the beginning of the month, or whenever you get paid, and these are dynamically changeable too. So let's go ahead and close this. Let's do. Okay, now let's do hit recalculate again. This goes and updates everything. So log income. Okay, we got dynamic dex. I need to change the size, but whatever. Let's click dynamic dex. Okay, income amount first. So let's say 35 grand. And then we'll do pay tithing. Now what this do is it will do exactly 10%, and then it's going to open up a link to the church's website, so you can pay your tithing. Now I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sign in because it's not really important. But once you click that pay tithing, it will track it, what you've paid tithing for. And then you can go ahead and click dynamic and then exit. Now that should show up here. Okay, so on the income tab, we have today's dates, dynamic dex, pay not yet, which is interesting because I opened it. So yes, it should show up, and the amount. Okay, so now let's log in expenditure because we happen to spend money today too. So the order of this is important. You have to do amount, item, store, category. So let's do amount, $50. Let's put fuel. So let's go find, okay, gas. Let's click gas. And then what category does it go in? These, once again, these match exactly what these are. So let's click fuel, save and exit. Boom, that's saved. Let's check the expenses tab just to be sure. Okay, today we spent some money on fuel. This is our user note. This is how much was spent, and this is the category it's in, and this is where the store it was purchased from. Let's go ahead and change that because I don't like some of that. So this list of stores dynamically are linked to that log expenditure button. So let's say gas station, and then hit recalculate, and then log expenditure. So now it's gas station. Done. Not that hard. Okay, now, so this is a pie chart of all your expenses. Currently, we've only spent $50 on fuel. So it's not really that cool of a pie chart. But once you add more stuff in here, you can see where you're spending most of your money. Okay, so, but then every time you run it, you have to recalculate. So I can log expenditure and add $4 on snacks, and I bought them from Wally World, and it should go under the food budget. Save and exit. So it's not showing up here yet. It's not even showing up here yet. I have to hit recalculate and watch the food. $200 is what I have left for my budget. Now I have 196. A tiny amount went to food, and I've spent $4. So that's what this recalculate does. So I'm going to delete this, just so you can see income expense. Keep in mind, yes, you can change these to make that all work. Let's get rid of this income entry form, expense entry form. Okay, trip expense entry form. I'll get into that near the end. Currently, I want to talk about this debt tracker. So most people who own homes should recognize this. If you don't, you've been doing yourself a disservice. This is just a generic amortization schedule, and I put it front and center because it should be the first thing you pay. It should be what you think about often. So there is a tab, amortization table here. Now, these are just to show numbers. This is not my actual home value or anything like that. But you input your loan amount, your interest rate, your loan period, number of payments per year, your start date of your loan, and it will calculate a lot of the stuff. You do scheduled payment. Keep in mind, this is not including property taxes or any other fees or PMI. So make sure this scheduled payment matches your principal plus your interest. That's what it is. That's all it is. And if you can fiddle with that till it matches your principal interest. So most likely you will be paying more than this actual amount, but it's only going to, that's how much is going to the loan instead of to PMI and to property taxes. So once you got that figured out, you can toy with this. And what I want you to notice is this chart. So there were 2 early payments made of $3,000 a piece. That's how much it chops off. Now, those $3,000 a piece chopped off from 40 or August 41, basically the end of 41 of 2041 to 48. So that chopped off years of time. Those 2, that chopped off basically from here on. So that's how this, they're always going to get their money first. Notice how this principal, that's how much you're actually of the debt you're paying off. The $250,000, this is what goes to that. However, they're going to get their money first, so that's near double. So the more you can pay at the beginning, it's not a linear relationship. The more you can pay at the beginning, the more you can chop off at the end, because they will get their money first. Now, if I scroll down, now we can pay a lot more principal and a lot less interest near the end. Now it's harder to pay off principal. Up here, it's easier to pay off principal because when you pay, say for example, 1 month you pay this, right? That's your scheduled payment. But you also happen to pay $1,000 extra. Well, now you don't have to pay this one or this one because you've paid these 3 in this 1 month. That's the difference. When you pay extra, you just pay on principal. So if you pay $1,000 extra, you pay this plus this. That will shave off nearly $2,000 in interest and 2 months off the end of your loan. That's why paying early is so very important. Okay, let's go back to this current standings. So one more thing I want to show you. This is for me in my work, and I've left it in here just for consistency's sake. For my work trips, I pay out of pocket, and then at the when I get home and I submit for reimbursement. So I have travel costs, but I also have a living cost, basically a per diem that I receive after the fact. This is all after the fact. So if I do a trip budget, I can enter a new trip. Let's go to Hawaii. I'm specifically trying to say HI because I don't want to spell Hawaii. Days of trip. Let's go for 5 days. Create trip budget. Now what this does, it jumps this travel budget and it creates, I need to delete that, that shouldn't be there. And it creates this. Basically, it gives you, I have a reduced amount of per diem my first day of the trip and my last day of the trip. The rest of my days of my trip, I have, a higher amount. I have altered these numbers. You can change them. I'll show you where to do that. But I can type in my start date, I can type in my end date, and I can keep track of all my costs. And that will help you. So if you, whether it's going on vacation or you have the same sort of relationship I do with work, this is where I track it. But now let's go to this travel budget template. Over here is where you have your daily allotment values. So you can alter those in here and they'll be spit out properly. I need to delete this because it's copied over. This is a portion that just gets copied over. So if you want to change these column headings, you can. Keep in mind though, it's going to print where it wants to. And let me show you that. So trip budget. Now let's enter an amount. So I have Hawaii, Spokane, Alaska. Let's go to the Hawaii one that we just built. Now I have two different options. I have travel costs and allotment out. So these are defined in the travel budget template. So let's do travel costs because let's say it's flights. Let's cost $590. Input expense. Now let's go check the travel budget. Now we have travel expense, flight $590. So you can track these things, and if you're submitting for reimbursement, these types of things here will be reimbursed, and these types of allotment out and cost things are just out of your pocket, but you have this daily allotment to cover it. So that's how that works. Okay, let's go to that. Now, the only difference, so all of these here are dynamic, you can change them, and they'll change in all the programming. All of these here are dynamic, you can change them, and they will change in the programming. Currently, these are only limited to 3 incomes. If you want more, let me know, and I will flesh this out a little. And these are something I was using. Okay. Now let's go to this carryover. Now, this carryover, these are all dynamic, right? This carryover are not dynamic because it's month to month. So when you're ready for your month, you take these things, hit Control C, come over here to carryover, Control V, and they'll be updated. Now, there's this button here you click whenever your month ends. So for me and my family, we get paid on the 26th. So our financial month ends the 26th. So every 26th, we click this button, and it will go and pull these values, the spent values, and dump them in here. How much we had left. So this is a fantastic. This is great. We had $3,500 in income from dynamic decks, but we only spent 417 of it. So we've saved 112, which is interesting. Anyway, so these are tracked month to month. This is how you do it, and what it does is it clears this income. Yeah, it clears the income. Sometimes I have to do it manually, but it dumps it here, so it saves it. And then expenses, it wipes the expenses, and it puts it in this history tab. So you have your date and wherever you spent your money on. And that's stored here in carryover. So for long-term stuff, yearly stuff, if you're doing this regularly, you should be able to see, I'm saving so much extra, or I had, 6 months of not saving anything. It'll show you that too. So that's how that works. So please, if you have questions, reach out to me. I will be happy to help with this. So there you go.